She said, "We'll celebrate tomorrow," but I was done waiting. I posted the real celebration online, and she found out she'd been replaced. I'm Ethan, 34. I'm not a grand gesture guy. I show care by showing up. That's how Megan and I started. Small favors, shared rides, a sweater when a room ran too cold. Our first anniversary was near, and I wanted it to feel like the night we first said, "I love you," at the lake outside town. I booked the place by the water and bought lilies because she loves them. I wrote a short, honest letter. I kept the day free. That morning, I texted, "Happy anniversary. Can't wait for tonight." Her reply came fast. "Oh shoot, I forgot. The girls and I planned a night out. Can we celebrate tomorrow instead?" I waited for a second message, an apology, anything. Nothing. Just reschedule. I typed, "Of course. Have fun," and set the phone down. The room felt too neat. Lilies in a jar. An envelope with her name. A small gift box. All ready for a night that wasn't happening. It wasn't only this. The last few months had been a slow slide. Late replies, plans moved, less warmth. When I asked if something was off, she said I was reading too much into it. Maybe I was. But I know what it sounds like when someone still wants to be there. Lately, I felt like a tab left open and forgotten. I sat on the couch and tried to make it sting less. Tomorrow could still be nice, I told myself. But I also knew I was dodging the point. I wasn't a priority. I turned off the music. I checked the letter and sealed it again. I carried the gift back to the bedroom. A light knock came at the door, 2 quick taps, then a pause. Hannah stood there. She's Megan's stepsister and lives a few blocks away. We've always been easy around each other. She held a small bakery box. "Hey," she said. "I made cookies for you too. It's your anniversary, right?" "You're the first person today who remembered," I said. Her face shifted. "Oh, is everything okay?" "Come in," I said. Plans changed. She set the box on the counter and waited. She didn't pry, but she didn't leave either. "Megan has a girls' night," I said. "She asked to do tomorrow." Hannah glanced at the flowers. "She forgot tonight." "It happens," I said. "You put a lot into this," she said softly. "I wanted it to be good," I answered. She opened the box. "Chocolate chip with sea salt. Please try one." My baking ego is on the line. I took a bite. For a minute, the room relaxed. "You don't need excitement, Ethan," she said. "You need someone who shows up." Those words settled where I'd been ignoring. We ate another cookie in quiet. No pretending. "What were you going to do tonight?" she asked. "Table by the lake," I said. "Flowers, dinner, a letter, maybe a walk." "That sounds good," she said. "Yeah," I said. "It would have been." She looked at the lilies. "You should still do some of it," she said. "Not to prove a point. Just because you planned something kind." "I'll light the candles here," I said. "Eat the takeout I bought as backup." "Or," she said, "we set the table and eat the backup food properly. 2 people, 1 plan that doesn't need rewriting." She wasn't pushing. She was offering company. "Okay," I said. "Let's make a small night of it." She set plates, found a lighter, and straightened the flowers. I put on low music. We sat down. The food was simple, but the effort made it feel like more. We took 1 quick photo of the table so her mom could see the cookies, then ate and talked about ordinary things. By the time the candles burned low, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks: relief. Not because anything big had happened, but because someone showed up when I needed it. And that felt like the start of a different kind of night. Hannah slid the bakery box toward me. "I made cookies for you guys. It's your anniversary, right?" I nodded. It was supposed to be. She waited for me to say more. I told her about the text. About tomorrow. About how I tried to make this night feel like the first time at the lake. I kept it short. "She forgot," she said, eyebrows pinched. "Ethan, you do a lot for her." "It's fine," I said, but it didn't sound true. Maybe I'm not exciting enough anymore. Hannah met my eyes. "You don't need excitement. You need someone who shows up." Those 3 words landed. Not dramatic. Just steady and true. We opened the box. Chocolate chip with sea salt. She urged me to try one. It was warm, and it tasted like the kind of care that doesn't need to announce itself. We talked about nothing important at first: her neighbor's noisy dog, a new coffee place nearby, the weird way the weather had turned. I didn't realize how much I needed simple conversation until I heard myself laugh. Not polite. Real. She glanced toward the table I'd set. The lilies stood like a reminder of what the night was meant to be. The letter sat near the plates, sealed. I moved it aside. "Do you want to throw on some music?" she asked. I put on a low playlist. She found the lighter, touched each candle wick, and waited for the flame to catch. She didn't hover or instruct. She just helped. "Let's plate the food," she said. "Eat at a table like grown-ups. If you plan something thoughtful, you should still have a version of it." We used the dishes I'd set out earlier. Nothing fancy, just real plates, real forks, the kind of care you save for nights that matter. I said grace in my head, something I do when I need to steady myself. Then we ate. The food was simple but warm. Hannah complimented the seasoning like I'd done something special. I hadn't. Still, it eased the quiet spots. I told her how the last few months with Megan felt out of step. Plans pushed, messages answered the next day, attention split in ways that were hard to ignore. She says I overthink. I said, maybe I do. Hannah didn't argue with me or with Megan. She just asked, do you feel seen? I sat with that. Not lately. We drifted to old stories. I told her how Megan and I once drove out to the lake on a random Tuesday, parked, and ate cheap takeout, while a couple slow danced by the water. It had felt easy then. We didn't need an occasion. Hannah smiled. That sounds like a good kind of night. It was, I said. She wiped a crumb from the table and looked around. This is, too. It was small, quiet, and honest. We took one photo of the table with the candles and the flowers because she said her mom would be proud of the cookies. I laughed and said the photo could be proof that I didn't let the lilies go to waste. No posing. No close-ups. Just the table and the warm light. When the plates were empty, we stacked them in the sink and let the water run. Hannah tied her hair back with a band from her wrist and washed while I dried. We worked in sync without talking much. It felt like we had done this 100 times, even though we hadn't. Back at the table, I pulled the envelope close and ran a thumb along the edge. I wrote this for tonight, I said. Feels strange to keep it sealed. Does it still say what you mean? She asked. Yeah, I said. But the timing's wrong. Then save it, she said. You don't have to burn every plan to move on from one bad night. That made sense. I slid it into a drawer. On my phone, the empty frame of the photo app sat open. I looked at the single shot we'd taken. Candles low. Lilies bright. 2 plates. You couldn't see either of us. Only the place that held the care. I want to post this, I said, surprising myself. Not for attention. I just want to mark the moment. Then say what you mean, she said. I typed. Sometimes the real celebration starts when you stop waiting on the wrong person. I stared at it. It wasn't a jab. It was a line drawn in quiet ink. Ready? Hannah asked. I hit post and set the phone face down. We poured tea. We ate another cookie. The music wound down. The candles burned to small pools and went out. The room felt softer, like it had let out a long breath. I should go, she said. I don't want to make anything messy, eh? You didn't, I said. You made tonight bearable. She slid her hands into her jacket. It was more than bearable. At the door, she paused. You're allowed to want someone who shows up. That isn't asking for too much. When she left, the apartment was quiet. Not empty, just calm. I cleaned the last plate, put the box of cookies on the counter, and checked the post one more time. A few likes. A kind comment from a stranger. Nothing big. I turned off the lights and looked at the lilies in the dark. They held their shape. I thought about the lake. About simple plans. About how showing up might be the most important thing after all. Then I went to bed, lighter than I expected to be on a night I had once circled in red. When I woke up, the room was quiet except for a faint hum from my phone. I reached over and saw a wall of notifications, hundreds of likes, shares, messages. Overnight, that small photo of a dinner table had taken on a life of its own. People were calling it wholesome, mature, even inspiring. A few wrote, "This is how you handle disappointment, with grace." I hadn't expected anything. It was just one post, one quiet moment shared. But it seemed like a lot of people understood what it meant to stop waiting. Then I saw Megan's name pop up on the screen. Megan, what the hell is this? And why did you celebrate without me? I sat up, rubbed my eyes, and read them twice. It was early, not even 8 a.m. I hadn't had coffee yet. For once, I didn't feel the rush of panic that usually came with her sharp messages. No guessing how to word my reply, no scrambling to calm her down. Just a strange calm. I typed one line. You said we'd celebrate tomorrow. I decided not to wait. Simple. Honest. Done. I set the phone aside and went to make breakfast. By the time I came back, there were 25 missed calls. More messages, longer this time. Are you kidding me, Ethan? You embarrassed me in front of everyone. People are messaging me, asking if we broke up. Do you have any idea what you've done? I leaned against the counter, watching the screen light up over and over. All I'd wanted was to do something kind for myself. But she wasn't talking about how she forgot. She was talking about how she looked. I finally picked up. Her voice came through sharp. Why are you making me look like a bad girlfriend? Megan, I said quietly. I didn't mention your name. I didn't say a single word about you. If people are connecting the dots, maybe they already knew how things were. She paused, then scoffed. So you're trying to humiliate me? With Hannah, of all people? My stepsister. I sighed. Hannah didn't do anything wrong. She brought cookies. She sat down and helped me make the night less sad. That's all, right? She said, her tone dripping with disbelief. You expect me to believe that? I'm not asking you to believe anything, I said. I'm telling you what happened. Her voice rose. You're pathetic, Ethan. You just want attention. You're trying to make me jealous. No, I said, steady now. I'm done trying to make you anything. She launched into another round of accusations, her words tumoring fast, each one louder than the last. I didn't argue back. I didn't need to. The conversation had shifted. This wasn't love. It wasn't even a partnership. It was about image, control, and being right. When I ended the call, my hands didn't shake. I didn't replay every line like I used to. I just sat down, took a slow sip of coffee, and let the silence fill the space. The post kept spreading. Comments poured in from strangers sharing their own stories, being stood up, forgotten, pushed aside. Some wrote that the caption hit them. Sometimes the real celebration happens when you stop waiting for the wrong person. I read a few and realized I wasn't alone. People understood. They'd been there. By afternoon, friends started texting too. A few said, "Good for you, man. About time you stood up for yourself." Others asked if I was okay. I replied to the kind ones, left the nosy ones on read. When I checked my phone again, another message from Megan. "Delete it. Now. This isn't funny." I didn't. Instead, I looked back at the photo, the soft light, the table set for two, the calmness in it. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't a show. It was just truth. That evening, as the sun started to drop behind the buildings, I felt a knock at the door again. Hannah stood there, holding a small jar of leftover cookies. Her face looked uneasy. "I ran into Megan this morning," she said quietly. "She cornered me outside the coffee shop. Said I was stealing her spotlight." I blinked. "She said that?" "She's mad," Hannah said. "I think she's more embarrassed than angry. But still, I didn't like how she talked to me." "I'm sorry," I said. "You didn't deserve that." She shook her head. "Don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. Last night, you were happy. I saw it. You shouldn't feel bad for that." We stood there for a moment. No big speech. Just understanding. Megan's voice still echoed in my mind, but it was fading, like a noise you've grown used to tuning out. I realized then, I didn't need to defend my peace. Not anymore. That night, I left my phone face down and made dinner without a second thought. The world could say what it wanted. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting on anyone. The next afternoon, Hannah showed up again. She looked uneasy, holding her jacket tight. "Megan saw me again," she said quietly. This time, she wasn't just upset. She was furious. Said I was trying to steal her spotlight. That I wanted to look better than her. I rubbed my forehead. "You didn't deserve that, Hannah. This isn't on you." She shook her head. "Don't apologize. You didn't drag me into anything. I offered to stay last night. And honestly, it was the first time I've seen you look genuinely at peace. She doesn't get to take that away from you." Her words steadied me. For so long, I twisted myself around Megan's moods, trying to explain or soften things just to keep the peace. But Hannah was right. Peace wasn't something I needed to earn. The days that followed were a blur. The post kept circulating, and people shared it with their own captions. "Know your worth. Celebrate with those who care." Some messages were kind. Some said I was petty for posting it. But I didn't reply to anyone. I'd said what I needed to say once. Silence would do the rest. Megan, though, wouldn't stop. She messaged daily, demanding I take the post down. "You're ruining my reputation. People think I'm heartless because of you. If you cared about me at all, you'd delete it." Every line was about her image. Her embarrassment. Not once did she mention the night she forgot, or how it might have felt for me. I didn't argue. I just read, sighed, and set the phone down. A week later, there was a loud knock on the door. Before I could answer, she was already calling out my name. Megan stood in the doorway, arms crossed, anger tight across her face. "We need to talk," she said. I stepped aside, and she walked in like she still owned the space. Her eyes darted to the lilies on the table, now wilting, and then to the small box of cookies Hannah had left behind. "You're making me look like I don't care," she snapped. "Do you know how hard I've worked to build my image? People think I'm some shallow girlfriend now." I looked at her, really looked. "Megan, do you hear yourself? You're worried about your image. Not about me. Not once have you said sorry for forgetting. Not once have you asked how I felt." For a moment, something flickered. Guilt, maybe, but it faded fast. "I don't need to apologize for one mistake," she said. "You blew this out of proportion. You embarrassed me, Ethan." I nodded slowly. Maybe I did, but only because I stopped hiding what was real. She folded her arms tighter. "So that's it. You're going to keep playing the victim? You and Hannah, did you plan this together? Is she your replacement?" Her tone cut sharper than her words. But instead of defending myself, I just said, "You're missing the point again." Her eyes narrowed. "What point?" "That this isn't about Hannah. It's about how you made me feel small every time I tried to show I cared." She scoffed. "You're overreacting." Maybe once I would have backed down, tried to fix it, but not anymore. I stood still, voice calm. "I'm not waiting around for you to understand what respect looks like. I'm done explaining why I deserve it." Her lips parted, searching for another line, but none came. The silence between us said everything. And just like that, I knew. This wasn't reparable. Not because of a single missed dinner, but because of all the times she didn't show up long before that. That was the last real conversation we had. I'm done waiting, Megan, I said quietly. Not just for celebrations, but for respect. I'm not begging you to see my worth anymore. Her eyes narrowed. So that's it. You're replacing me with Hannah. I shook my head. I'm not replacing you. You replaced yourself the moment you stopped showing up. She didn't respond. She just stood there, breathing hard, looking for something sharp to throw back. When nothing came, she turned on her heel and slammed the door behind her. The frame rattled, but the silence that followed felt peaceful. No more guessing. No more waiting. For a long time, I just stood there, staring at the lilies on the table. They'd started to wilt, but they still carried the effort I put in, proof of a man who tried. I picked one up, set it in a glass of water, and decided to keep it a little longer. In the weeks that followed, I didn't post much, but that single photo kept traveling. People shared it with their own words, their own stories. Some said it gave them courage to walk away from one-sided relationships. Others said it reminded them to cherish the people who truly care. I read a few of the messages at night, not for attention, but to remind myself that honesty, even quiet honesty, matters. Megan, meanwhile, tried to do damage control. She told mutual friends that I'd blown things up for clout, that I was acting out because I couldn't handle her being busy. But screenshots of her own messages, the dismissive texts, the public anger, had already made their rounds. Most people saw through it. She tried calling a few more times. I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. Hannah checked in often, not with questions or pity, just presence. She'd drop by with coffee or send a quick text if she saw a post about my story. You good? She'd ask. Most days I was. We started spending time together again, not in some rushed or romantic way, but in small, easy moments. Watching a game, grocery shopping, taking walks by the lake. We talked about everything but the past. One evening, sitting by the water, I realized how light I felt. No more waiting for replies. No more second-guessing every plan. Just calm, shared silence. This was where I wanted to bring her, I said. For our anniversary. Hannah glanced at the lake. You still can. Just for yourself. I smiled. Maybe that's what this is. A few weeks later, we came back with a picnic basket. Nothing fancy, just sandwiches, fruit, and a thermos of tea. The same lake. The same view. But a different energy. No tension. No pretending. We sat side by side as the sun set, the water catching streaks of orange and pink. You know, I said, I used to think love was about the big moments. The dinners, the gifts, the surprises. But it's not. It's just showing up. Again and again. Hannah nodded. Exactly. It's the small things that tell the truth. I looked out across the lake. The right people don't need reminders. They care without being told. She smiled. That's how you know they're the right ones. We stayed until the sky turned dark, finishing our tea in quiet comfort. It wasn't a date. It didn't need to be. It was a moment of peace, a celebration of finally choosing people and moments that met me halfway. As we packed up, I looked around one last time and thought, this was what I'd been waiting for all along. Not a perfect anniversary, just a real one. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.